In the derby of the round, Crvena Zvezda suffered their first defeat of the season when they were thrashed by j.t.d in Zagreb's Dom Sportova. Partizan was very efficient in this round. They defeated Mega and made a leap towards the playoffs. Budućnost defeated Olimpija in Ljubljana, while Krka and FNP got important wins. And as always, we end the show with the top 5 actions of the round. Welcome to ABA League magazine. There are no more undefeated teams in ABA League. In the round 17 derby, Crvena Zvezda suffered their first defeat of the season. Cedevita got the win in Zagreb much easier than expected. Slaven Rimac's men ended the game almost 30 points in the lead, 84-68. But none of their dominance showed in the first quarter. The guests from Belgrade started the game better. They formed a 5-point lead with back-to-back three-pointers by Baron and Simanic. However, the current leaders weren't in good shooting form, and they barely managed to raise their distance shots percentage to mere 25% in the final quarter. The champions of Croatia scored the same number of three-pointers, but from far less attempts. The biggest difference between the teams was in a field goals percentage. The home team had a 70% field goal percentage in this game. Their initial inspiration was Pullen, who scored 13 out of his 15 points at the end of the first and at the beginning of the second quarter. He was the key to Cedevita's taking the reins of the game. Crvena Zvezda was struggling with their offensive game. They suffered a number of turnovers and their deficit was growing by the minute. In the first half, the biggest difference was 16 points. Not much change after the break, and it didn't take long for it to become apparent that Serbian champion is going to suffer their first defeat of the season. Cedevita was dominant in every aspect of the game, and by the beginning of the third quarter they were 20 points up. Coach Tomic managed to wake up his team in the fourth quarter when the home team were in the lead 77-48. Crvena Zvezda didn't lose face only because of Dobrić, Davidovac and Ristic. Dobrić was the best player of the game with 17 points. Cirbes was unable to play, but Ristic saw this an opportunity to shine. He finished the game with 12 points. Four more players scored more than 10 points besides Jakob Pullen, the best shooter in the league. Kopp scored 14 and Filip Krušlin 13 points. Stipanovic and Cook finished the game with 12 points each, and the captain also had 8 rebounds. With this win, Cedevita defended their second place in front of Budućnost, the current champion, who also has 12 wins. Partizan's players made a huge leap towards the playoffs. They defeated their direct rival Mega Bemax 98-86 in Aleksandar Nikolić Hall. So now, 5 rounds before the end of the first part of the competition, they have 2 wins more than their rivals and a better head-to-head score. Just like in Sremska Mitrovica, the black and white team were in the lead the whole 40 minutes. But that does not mean that the game was not exciting and without thrilling actions. The first 8 points in the game were scored by home team. Andrea Trinchieri's team had a 9-point lead at the end of the first quarter, but then Nikola Mišković scored 8 unanswered points in the best game of his career. The 20-year-old stole the spotlight with 30 points and 4 rebounds. The home team pulled away for the first time at the end of the first half. Throughout the game, Partizan had a high field goal and distance shot percentage rate. One of the best home team players was Alexei Nikolić, who shined in a 12-3 series. that led to the first double-digit lead. Dejan Milojevic team managed to get back in the second half of the third quarter. Mišković wasn't the only one to stand out. Edin Atic scored 4 out of 6 3-pointers and finished the game with 22 points. The youngest team in the league reduced the deficit to a minimum, and they had an excellent chance to take the lead, but the Fisti Fundić missed both free throws. When they reduced the number of turnovers, the home team could once again control the score. They scored their most important series of points at the beginning of the final quarter. Led by Nikolić and Page, they scored 12 and received only 2 points. After that, they were untouchable. The Slovenian point guard was the best player of the game. He scored more than a half of his distance shots and finished the game with 20 points and 5 rebounds. Alex Renfro, the point guard who was in the starting five, also had an excellent game. He didn't make a single miss, but shot 17 points and 7 assists. Banja C was just as successful, while Jock Landale finished the game with 15 points and Marcus Page with 12 points. In the last game of round 17, Budućnost defeated Olimpija 77-72 in Tivoli Hall. Both teams were in a good shooting mood in the beginning. Lorbek and Lapornik were scoring for one team and Gordić and Jackson for the other. With back-to-back distance shots by Gordić and Jackson, Budućnost took the lead mid-first quarter. However, Lorbek was quick to respond with a three-pointer. Jackson scored 10, Lorbek 9 and Gordić 8 points in the first quarter alone, and it ended 23-23. Jasmin Repeš's shooting guards Kol and Popović worked great as a tandem, and with the Popović three-pointer, for the first time Budućnost pulls more than 10 points away, 38-27. He scored again to give his team a 15-point lead, 44-29. Olimpija managed to reduce the deficit to 10 points, but with another three-pointer by Jackson and a free throw by Kol, Budućnost goes on break in the lead 53-38. The team from Montenegro scored 30 points in the second quarter. Olimpija started the second half well, and after another three-pointer by Lorbek, they scored 7 unanswered points. A bit later, Šamanić and Lapornik scored 6 unanswered points, and Olimpija reduced their deficit to 6 points, 58-52. Budućnost finished the third quarter with only 11 points, and they began the final 10 minutes only 7 points in the lead, 64-57. Budućnost wasn't able to score a single point in the first 4 minutes of the final quarter, and Olimpija reduced their deficit to 4 points. Coti Clark was the only one who scored for the guests in the fourth quarter. Budućnost took the lead 71-62 after his shot and 2 free throws. Olimpija's final attempt came in the last minute of the game after Lorbek distance shot and span points for 75-71. But the home team crashed into a stone defense and they were unable to threaten their guests anymore. The best player for the defeated team was Lorbek with 19 points. Lapornik scored 13 and Span 12 points. Jackson scored 18 points for the guests, while Kol, Bitadze, Popović finished the game with 10 points each. FNP players scored a very important win in Železnik against Igokeja, 87-78. This was Vladimir Jovanović team's second triumph over Igokeja this season. The guests had to make do without Latavius Williams and Oliver Lafayette, whose contracts were terminated. The home team started the game on a higher note. Rebec inspired them to take the lead. Marko Luković was in excellent shooting form for Igokeja, and at the end of the first quarter, so was Sava Lešić. FNP finished the first quarter 23-20 and they remained in the lead until the Bosnian champions scored 7 unanswered points and went off half-time in a 5-point lead, 45-40. In the rest of the game we saw lots of possession, so with quick 5-0 run FNP managed to equalize the score. Guard post for visiting team Danilo Andjušić entered in a great shooting run and gave their biggest lead of +9. Duoprit was playing great for home team, but Vladimir Jovanović had a lot of troubles with position in offense. Pot was completely out of rhythm. Rebec was stopped, so Jovanovic gave a chance to young Aleksa Uskokovic, which turned out to be key moment of the game. Dragan Nikolić's team had +6 in the last period, but had a terrible last 10 minutes. FNP played aggressively in defense, and former junior player of Crvena Zvezda Uskokovic took care of the offensive part of play and scored some key points. Home team allowed just 11 points in fourth period and scored 26 points for first win after 5 losses in a row. Most efficient for Rigo Kiev was Lešić with 22 points. Lukovic added 18 more, while in the winning team Rebec and Reed scored 16 points each. In the penultimate game of round 17, Mornar won against Cibona in Topolica Hall in Bar. Final score was 91-78. Champion of Montenegro led throughout the entire game and made an emphatic win for better head-to-head against Cibona. Ty Voller gave good rhythm for home team after Mićević made a 3-point shot. Mornar got a 10-4 lead, so visiting coach had to call a timeout. Mihajlo Pavićević's team played in recognizable rhythm with a great attacking weight and lot of successful 3-point shots. Additional impulse for Mornar came from fantastic Nemanja Vranješ, who came in from the bench and with a small run gave his team +6 lead near the end of the first half. Young center Krešimir Ljubicic brought good energy for Cibona, but team from Montenegrin coastline had a +12 lead at the big break. Cibona played much better in the second half and used empty minutes of their rival who hadn't scored for over 3 minutes and with 9-0 run got to 3 points deficit. But with individual plays from Ty Voller moved Mornar and gave them back a double-digit lead. And when the same player scored for 3 at the end of the third period, home team got to +15 and entered last period with a hefty lead. Ivan Veric's team was unable to make a comeback and their rival had +20 lead with 2 minutes left on the clock. Coach Pavićević used this to give court time to all players. Mornar now has 7-10 and is sharing 6th place with FNP and Cibona. Most efficient in the losing team was Markota with 14, while Ljubicic made 13 points, 6 assists, while in Mornar Vranješ scored 23. Krka made an extremely important win in fight for survival in Krešimir Ćosić Hall against Zadar. Final score was 72-64. Home team was again without William Megarity, but we saw return of Kwame Von. In an extremely hard-fought game without good rhythm, visitors from Novo Mesto won and made the fight for survival much more interesting. Zadar was playing without audience due to incident behavior of their fans in the game against Partizan, so spectators were allowed only on the VIP stands. It was evident that this will be a night that Zadar will like to forget when in the first period Ante Nazar's team scored 12 points total. Krka started the game in good rhythm with low number of possessions and controlled game in positioning attack with shots near 24 seconds of attacks. Team from Slovenia played hard in defense and managed to neutralize best players of Zadar, Božić and Little. At the half-time, visitors had a +13 lead, 39-26. Krka managed to hold on to double-digit lead. Zadar managed to get as close as 53-44 after a fantastic three-pointer made by Dašić. In crucial period, home team finally found attacking rhythm. Little made a great run and after 3 throws made by Dašić, Zadar got to -3 with just a minute left to play. But Dominik Mavra took responsibility and gave his team an important win. Member of Croatian national team was most efficient player in 5th win for Krka this season with total of 18 points. Balažić added another 11, while in losing team Little was better than the rest with 13 points with modest shooting percentage. Most efficient player in the 17th round of regional championship was Nemanja Vranješ. Mornar made an easy win against Cibona in Bar. Most efficient player in Mihajlo Pavićević's team was this guard post. Vranješ scored 23 points, 3 rebounds and 1 assist. In just under 20 minutes spent on the court, he made 29 index points. Nikola Mišković had a better individual game, but unlike Mega, Mornar won in this week, so MVP of the round is Nemanja Vranješ. That would be all for this edition of our magazine. We'll be back next week with a recap of round 18.